Howdy, my name is Rachel Evans. I am in charge of the Emperor Dragonfly, or the Annex Imperator.
All right. And my name is Terra Morgan. I will be defending the Glynerus gratis, commonly known the antlion. And we will be discussing our topic over which insect is a better predator.
Awesome. All right, so I am the Emperor Dragonfly, so my opening statements are, that the Emperor Dragonfly are mostly located in African countries as well as European countries, which I found really interesting, not really our side of campus. My dragonfly has some very beautiful colors, which make it easy for the insect to locate its mate as well as to hide when things get tough. When they are young, they have a pale green head with brown markings all over, and their legs will turn a dark brown as they age, and the base of their body will be a yellow color when they are young. They are born with black wings, but they turn translucent as they age, more of a yellow-brownish color. The males turn a neon blue color when they get older. It's a beautiful, bright color. And the females will turn a yellow, neon, kind of greenish color. They hunt other insects like butterflies, dragonflies, small gnats, just a lot smaller of an animal than them. I thought it was really cool, some of the butterflies they ate. I didn't know butterflies could get that small. They fly quite high to get their prey. Most of their prey flies incredibly high, so they go up to fly and then down low to mate as well as lay their eggs. The females will only lay their eggs in places with water around them, like rivers, streams, ponds, stuff like that. Mostly slow-moving water, so the water doesn't just take away the eggs. They lay them on different plants right around the ground. The males tend to be more territorial and aggressive during the mating process, as well as finding food. And the females are nicer when it comes to aggression, but do not like being bugged when it comes to laying their eggs. When it comes to human society, they are more of not necessarily a pest, but kind of like a pest. They're more of an annoyance when it comes to what they do for humans. They eat insects and small larvae around ponds and streams, so I guess they do clean up a little bit, but other than that, they do not really bug humans at all.
Bug humans. All right, well, antlions, also known as doodlebugs, are voracious predators. They eat ants and other small insects that fall into their trap. You've probably seen them a lot. I know they're very common to Texas and places with like sandy or woody kind of soil. They have 4 stages of life. They go from egg to larva to pupa to adult. And they hatch into this small larval stage, and they dig pits into the ground. Okay, I thought it was recording. They dig pits into the ground and rest just below the base of the pit. Antlions in their larval stage are oval and plump, and they have this flat, sandy brown body that allows them to rest at the bottom of their trap, unseen. Perfect camouflage for the hunt. They only grow to about a half an inch long during this predatorial stage, so they can be very sneaky. They use most of the aggressiveness during this larval stage. After they grow up to adult and pupa, they're less aggressive and they don't live quite as long either. So they only grow to about half an inch. Their tactic is precise and all about timing. They usually gather around each other's pits. Once you see one, you'll usually see a bunch of others gathered around, and this leaves prey more susceptible to falling in, and the antlion can get a snack. So antlions possess this unique characteristic where they can walk backwards, which gives them their ability to create these traps that they lay. They creep down their little cone pit, kicking out sand with their heads, which creates this really impossible trap to get out of, and they're really smart about making them. They even prefer a certain standard of soil for their traps. Has to be loose enough to work with, and for the hunt, they lay below the comb pit with their fangs for shooting out. Once an ant or another small insect creeps over to the side of the pit, the sand will fall out from beneath them, and they're unable to walk up the sand, but the antlion can come up there, grab them, bring them back down, and drink all their juices and sit down waiting for another one. Success as always, and you really can't win against an antlion. So,
wow, that was a lot. Okay, yeah. So my first rebuttal about the aggressiveness and how mine's a better predator is that even though the females are less aggressive than the males, they sorry for the dogs, guys. Even though the females are less aggressive, when it does come to breeding time, they are known a little bit to kind of rarely to kill the males during the process. I remember reading that online a few weeks ago. They also, during the process of laying their eggs, they don't like to be bugged, which is, I can imagine. When it comes to the males, I know when it comes to eating, a lot of the times when they fly up to get their gnats, butterflies, other dragonflies, smaller creatures that they can eat, they are known to rip off their heads and eat that quickly and then fly down and find the rest of the body. Or if they're just feeling risky, they can just go find another bug to rip the head off of. Even though they're not aggressive towards humans in any way, they do still help clean up ponds and rivers and streams by eating some of the pests that can bug you while you're fishing or hanging out, having a little barbecue. That's just a little bit about the aggressiveness of my dragonfly.
Well, antlions are, for me, I believe they're a little more aggressive, not towards humans in any way. If you do mess with one enough or they feel threatened, of course, an insect would bite you. But they are highly beneficial to like nature, and they cause no damage really to flowers, people, or structures. They just kind of do their own thing and use the prey that they get during their larval stage to help them grow into their adult stage. The only negative side to them is for their prey that is unsuspecting and they're going to fall in and they're not going to be able to get out. They have no chance. And other than that, they don't have a lot of negative sides more than they're positive. They just kind of do their own thing, and unless you mess with them, you're not going to have any problems with them.
For our second rebuttal, I did talk about earlier about how beautiful the dragonfly is. I do think it's very interesting how, even though they're such bright of a color, they can use that really easily to camouflage. I found that really, really interesting when I was looking online. They can also use it to find a mate, which for them is really easy to differentiate the males from the females because they are such different colors. The males being a neon blue, the females being a yellow neon greenish color. But when it goes back to how aggressive they are and if they're a better predator or not, they are less likely to be aggressive towards humans. Number one, because unlike the antlion, they're in the sky. They're, around us. They're not on the ground. So the only thing they're really going to be a threat for is going to be things as well as in the sky. They are mostly just going to be an annoyance for us. There's not much more to say to that. I don't...
Well, the antlion is not a pretty sight to look at. They're really drab, kind of. They don't offer an art kind of behind them. They're really brown and sandy and flat and plump. But these little tiny divots that they build during their larval stage is impossible, and it's just a concrete way for them to catch a prey. They have these tiny divots in the sand that we see all over, and they just look like small little holes to us, but to these other insects that crawl about, these appear like mountains. So once they're reaching the peak of their mountain, they're actually falling down to their death. And you can't escape it. It's really impossible. The antlion has their unique characteristic of walking backwards, and because of that, they can bring their prey down and get rid of them, drink their juices, and be done with them and wait for the next. And there's no way for that prey to get out because it's just such a wonderful trap.
It really is. So for our closing statements, I do not think the emperor dragonfly has all these crazy features and traps like the antlion. They do look beautiful, which is why I was very happy to be able to do the dragonfly. It is really cool how their aggression is mostly in the air instead of on the ground. These two creatures are very, very different. Mine has to, fly high, find its prey, while hers is on the ground. I lost my train of thought. When it comes to aggression, it mostly is during breeding and during feeding. I think they are good predators when it comes to those two things. But other than that, they're pretty beautiful, graceful creatures.
That is true. But the antlion is ambitious and unique. They exhibit this predatorial phase only during their larval stage, like I've said, and it only lasts for about a month. But during this month, they eat like kings. These guys get their business done, and it's all instinct. You'll see them scattered around, all their little neighbors and their siblings, and they're all around each other, just causing more prey to fall in because there's so many holes that they're gonna get run into, So the moment they hatch into this larva, they start their construction, and it's game on. Their trap is genius, and it works every time. There's never going to be a chance that you're going to get out. After one snack, they simply are just going to wait for another at the bottom. And we talked about them being called doodle bugs. Some people might not know that they're the same thing. Those little scrawl-like patterns you see in like sandy areas that they leave behind gives them that name, and that's what I grew up calling them. But really, they're antlions, and they're anywhere you can find sandy, dry soil or like kind of woody soil that's loose enough to work with and dry enough to set the trap. And you really can't win against antlion. They are good predators, and I believe that they have a impossible tactic to get out of.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Thank you. Gig'em.
Gig'em.